Welcome, and thank you for clicking on this video. Today, we're going to check out the Fender Junior Collection Short Scale Jazz Bass. Let's check it out. So at time of filming, this is a relatively new made in Japan series of guitars and basses from Fender Japan. I purchased this guitar from a guitar dealer in Japan, and it arrived via courier to my doorstep in Canada in 4 business days. Let's talk about some of the features of this bass. This is a short scale jazz bass, so the scale length is measuring at 30 inches from saddle to nut. This, under the finish, has a basswood body, has a rosewood fingerboard, and a maple neck. These feature 2 jazz bass style single coil pickups, and the electronics are volume for the neck pickup, volume for the bridge pickup, and master tone. This bass features open geared cloverleaf style tuners. Let's hear some of the sounds we can get from this bass. Let's start with the volumes all the way up and the tone all the way down. Let's roll that tone knob up to about 50%. Now let's open the tone knob all the way up. Both volumes all the way up. Now let's see whether or not we can get some precision style bass sounds from it. So let's turn off the bridge pickup and let's have the neck pickup rolled all the way up. And again, let's start with the tone knob all the way down. Let's roll the tone knob up to about 50%. Tone knob all the way up. You can really hear that single coil hum. So we're only soloing the neck pickup. Let's try to get some Jacko-inspired tones from this bass. So let's turn the volume of the bridge pickup all the way up, and I want to favor it, so I'm going to turn the neck pickup down a little bit. And let's start with the tone knob all the way down. Let's roll that tone knob up to about 50%. Now let's try that all the way up. Now with all the arthritis in my hands, I'm not much of a slapper at all. But let's see what happens. So that was with both volumes all the way up and the tone all the way up. Let's now hear the sounds from this bass in the context of a drum track. So I'm going to feature this bass on 5 different passes. In the first one, we'll have both pickups on with tone all the way up. In the second, both pickups on with tone knob at 50%. The third pass, we'll go over to that kind of P-bass sound. So just front pickup, tone knob at 50. The fourth pass, we're going to feature the bridge pickup kind of Jacko style. So 75% neck, 100% bridge with the tone knob at about 75% or so. And on the last pass, we'll have both volumes all the way up, but I'm gonna play over the bridge pickup. Well, let's hear how it sounds. Well, please let me know what you thought of the tones by leaving a comment below. My assessment: that is a great looking and great playing bass. But it has its issues. But first of all, let's talk about what I think of the tones of this bass. With this being a short scale jazz bass, I think it actually solves one of the issues I've always had with jazz basses. When done correctly, a jazz bass sounds great. But the problem that plagues lower end, more entry level jazz basses is sometimes they can sound a little thin on the bottom end. But with this being a 30-inch scale jazz bass, it kind of solves that problem naturally. And even with all the different pickup selections and different ranges of the tone pot, this bass sounds pretty fat for a jazz bass. The construction of this bass is very, very good. These are all made in Japan. So Fender Japan has always been known to be producing very quality, good constructed, and well-fitting instruments. And this is no different from a fit and construction point of view. The gloss black finish looks very, very nice, and this bass came set up perfectly right out of the box. But this bass does have some issues. I just talked about the construction being good, but the finishing on this bass is eh. And the biggest issue I had with this bass was the nut. And I'll put up a picture here. And unfortunately, this bass arrived to me with a chipped nut under the D string. I have actually never had this happen with a made in Japan instrument before, so I'm not sure how this actually passed through the Japanese quality control. The saving grace for this scenario, however, is the moment I unboxed it, I reached out to the Japanese guitar dealer who sold this to me, and this was very mutually resolved within the day. So essentially what they did was they refunded me the amount it would cost for me to bring this to my local tech to both replace the nut, so a replacement cost, and all the labor fees associated with a replacement nut. So I'm very thankful to this Japanese guitar dealer for being quite so open and accommodating to me. The other finish issue, which is fixable but is disappointing, is on several areas of the headstock, front and back, there were residue and leftover what I think is buffing polish. So I just think the luthier or the person on the finishing and buffing end of this production line just kind of missed a few surfaces. I don't know what else to say about that. I find finish issues like this to be very disappointing, especially at this price point. But I've tried to take a very soft cloth to wipe some of this off, and it does wipe out. So that part I can fix. The frets have been beautifully finished and polished. Every single fret end is uniformly polished, and you don't see that every day. There's also zero fret sprout at all. And the sides of this rosewood board was done very, very well, which seems very, very odd that I would find buffing compound residue on the headstock, but the fretwork was done perfectly. But overall, I think this is a great playing and great sounding 30-inch scale J bass. However, I think for the asking price of around $1,000 US or 1,300 Canadian or so before shipping is probably a little too aggressive. It's too aggressively priced, in my opinion. The last thing I'll say is this. I don't think there really needs to be a debate as to which is better, a long scale or a short scale bass. These are all tools at the end of the day, and what really matters is you finding an instrument that fits your hand, fits your body, and that you're comfortable with, and you can play well and make good music with. That's all that matters. However, I can see the scenario where a certain player or buyer will go, well, this says junior collection. Is that for kids? Maybe as a beginner entry-level instrument, which this is not. This is playing not at the entry-level performance-wise, but it says junior, and I can see how that potentially could be off-putting for some people. For me, I actually like a model name that reflects what the instrument does, or some feature of the instrument. For example, MTD names their instruments based on features. So a 535 is a 5-string that's a 35-inch scale. So the model number tells you that. Or a Lakeland HB30, hollow body, 30 inches. So junior collection is kind of this vague description that unless you know what it is, you won't know what it is. So that would be my feedback for Fender. Maybe call this the Fender short scale collection or the SS collection, or you can call it the Fender JB-30. I think that would make more sense than Junior collection. But there you have it. It is the Fender short scale, made in Japan, 30-inch scale J bass. Let me know what you think of it. Thanks so much for watching. Catch you next time. Peace.